My name is Robert Szerencsés. It means lucky in Hungarian, by the way. I'm coming from Hungary, from Budapest, and work for a learning management system company called Instructure. So we are providing software solutions for companies and education organizations, and so I'm located in the Budapest office as a Salesforce administrator. We have a fancy name, CPQ System Analyst, but I think it's enough to say that I'm one of the dedicated CPQ Salesforce analysts of the company. Yeah, so today's expectation, what I like to set, is that by the end of these more or less 20 minutes, you will understand the key functionalities of Salesforce CPQ and be able to decide whether it's a good fit for your company or not. And I hope you will get more familiar with the benefits, what it can provide to your customers or your internal team, like the sales team, finance team, or even the Salesforce CRM team. What I don't want to touch today, because it's still a broad topic, is Salesforce billing. So everything which happens after a quote is accepted. I don't want to talk about other CPQ platforms, compare with Salesforce Steelbrick CPQ. And I don't want to show you boring point-and-click demonstration of any CPQ functionalities what we have. Let me share a personal story before going into details. I didn't know much about Salesforce CPQ, more or less a bit more than 1 year ago. So I know that, yeah, it's the 3 letters stand for configure, quote, price. But how does it work? Actually, I didn't have any clue. And as maybe many people who are coming from the admin background in the Salesforce ecosystem and wants to learn how to code in Salesforce, so I also had such endeavors. And when I had my interview with my previous company, my future manager asked me what are my personal professional goals, and yeah, I said that, yeah, of course I want to learn how to code in Salesforce. And when I had my first day, he said on my first one-on-one with him, okay, Robbie, what I like to expect you in our team is to learn how to how to administer the CPQ platform because it looks good in your CV. So I was a bit disappointed because I had different goals and different expectations, but over the time I got used to this platform and I started to love it. So happily I'm here, and I try to share with you what I've learned about Salesforce CPQ so far. So let's check what might be the different errors in a quoting process. So every company have different sales processes, but the main flow is that the customer receives a quote from directly, maybe from the field rep or from the back office team, and either the customer accepts it or comes back with requirements how to modify the quote, and hopefully at the end of the day the customer will accept the quote, and we will be happy, and hopefully the customer as well. That's the easy way, but of course there are different pitfalls, like first and foremost pricing calculation errors. So when people who are working within the team, the sales team, they are not very familiar with the different pricing calculations. What the company has, it's located in different spreadsheets or help articles within the company's internal web pages, and it might happen that these calculations are not correct all the time. We might also have product combination issues, so there's a classical example. We shouldn't sell a car, a smart with truck tires, so it won't match, and the customer won't be happy. So that's also a very common issue in a quoting process. Then we might also lose profit if we give too much discount. However, most of the times we have approval processes, and someone above in the hierarchy can approve or reject a discount what the sales rep wants to provide to the customer. But maybe these discounts are exaggerated sometimes just to keep the customer, or maybe have a new logo at the company. And last but not least is that the quote creation process, or maybe the internal approval of the quote, takes a lot of time because of all these above errors, and that's a bad experience for the customer, and so it makes winning a quote or winning an opportunity more and more difficult. Luckily, we have standard quotes in Salesforce, and it has a lot of functionalities what we can benefit of. Regarding the pricing, we can upload all our company's products. We can have different price books, so not only one, but different price books. And we have the option to use list price, or maybe both list price and sales price when we add the product as a quote line item to a quote. So that's already good. We can also calculate the discounts. The only difficulty is that it should be either automatic, so we can set up automation within Salesforce to calculate it automatically, or just leave it as manual, but we don't have the possibility to use it both in the same time. What's a good thing regarding discount calculation is if someone opens up a quote, even though we have different discounts on different products, what we sell under the same quote, it calculates the weighted average of our discounts. So that's very useful. Regarding product rules and bundles, that's something which makes our life, the life of a Salesforce admin or business analyst more complicated. So we can write validation rules and check if we have a certain criteria on a quote, then we shouldn't add a product as a quote line item. But that's after a certain point, it's a bit complicated to maintain. So if there's a new product, if there's a change in these rules, then we have to keep in mind what are the exact validation rules, what we have to modify. And the same applies for the automations. So we can create automations by Process Builder to add the certain. So if a certain bundle is selected under a quote, then we can list all the necessary products what we sell. So that's good. But again, if there's a change, if we need to update something on the products, then life will be a bit more complicated. And last but not least, yeah, hopefully we are able to send over the quote document to the customer, and we have this possibility within standard codes. But the layout, what we can provide to the customer, is maybe not the most beautiful PDF what we can provide them. So we can't really customize a quote PDF. So these 4 main topics is what I would call the 4 pillars of quoting: pricing rules, product rules and bundles, discount calculation, and the quote PDF. So I'd like to invite you to check what are, so after speaking about standard quotes, now let's check what are the capabilities of CPQ. So can we use all these functionalities or not? Beforehand, I'd like to confirm that, yeah, everything is possible with Salesforce CPQ. So yeah, let's check the first one, pricing rules. We have many possibilities for pricing calculations of our products. So we can have block pricing, like if the customer buys a product from us within the quantity from 1 to 5, they can pay a certain amount, let's say 10 euros, but if they buy a quantity of products within 10 and 15, then the customer can pay only 15 euros. So that's something what we can configure in Salesforce CPQ. We have the percent of total, the option pricing override, cost plus markup, and also the contracted pricing if we are working with dealers, with partners within the selling process. Okay, then what about products and bundles? So I was citing the possibility of validation rules. So we can write a validation rule checking a certain criteria on the quote, and then allow or block the attachment of a certain quote line. Product rules allow us to check and, let's say, communicate, allow the communication between different quote lines within a quote, and it's possible to check if we have already added a certain product to a quote. We can add another one with a certain criteria. Let's say if we are selling 10 laptops to a customer, then we can use product rules to check whether we add 10 adapters to this quote, or is it more or less, and then we can show up an error to the users that something is wrong with a quote what they are trying to create. Another thing is the bundle, which is a native functionality of Salesforce CPQ. So not only we can check if if we are selling a certain bundle, product 1, 2, and 3 is added or not, but we can also have the possibility and the flexibility to say that, okay, we have this certain bundle, let's say a bundle of a PC, what we sell with different equipment, and within a bundle we have the option, the flexibility to select which type of external screen we want to sell our product to or our bundle to the customer. Okay, discounting. Yeah, we have. So regarding standard quotes, I mentioned that we can use either manual or automatic discounting, but not both in the same time. Here we have different layers of discounts. We can check the number, the quantity of the products what we have in our quote, which is the volume-based discount. We can have discount schedules. So if our company is selling subscription type of products, we can motivate the customer to have a longer contract with our company if we give more and more discount if he subscribes for a longer period of time. So let's say for the first year we are only allowed to give 5% of discount. For 2 years then it's, let's say, 10%, and for 3 years we can go for the maximum, which would be 20%, for example. We can have partner discounts as well, which is specific only for different partners, and of course we can override if it's needed by manual discounts. Then quote templates. So if we are speaking about quote templates in the CPQ platform, you can imagine it like building blocks of Lego or Lego. You have to configure each and every part of a quote template, like the content, what you'd like to show up in a certain template, what would be the different sections, the header, the address of the company, the terms and conditions, what we provide with different products, and also the line columns of our different products. So, I mean, what's the name of the product, what's the quantity, the price, if you have any description regarding that. So that's these are the building blocks of a quote template, and these are associated as different records under the CPQ platform. So you have to configure each and every section, each and every different content, and you can create conditions when to show up this or that content within your quote document, your PDF. Okay, so we can say we are convinced. Okay, maybe we should go for Salesforce CPQ, and we can upgrade from the standard quote functionality of Salesforce. First of all, let's clarify some questions. I think the most crucial question is, how much will it cost? So here is the most up-to-date list of the licenses of the CPQ platform at the moment, which is provided by Salesforce. So you can see that a CPQ Plus license costs $150 USD, which is quite. So that's not a cheap license. I think I can say. So that's something you have to consider. How many licenses do you need? Is it still worth the pain and all the money what the company will spend on it? Second.
Is this near rounding up, because with the next session's ready to come in?
I need 2 more minutes.
2 more minutes.
Yep. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
And anything has IT problems.
Okay, thank you. Okay, second, who will do the work of the implementation? So do we have internal resources or not? I would recommend to turn to specific implementation partners because they have the experience and they know what to do exactly in CPQ. And also it costs a lot of money. What I've done some research on Google, and so the minimum amount what I found for a CPQ implementation is somewhere around 15,000 USD. Yeah, so that's huge, but still it's worth the money to work with an implementation partner. Questions to clarify regarding our own sales process. What would be the so what's the actual turnover time? What we need to send over a quote to the customer? How many and what are the exact touch points what we have in our sales cycle? How exactly a sales rep or the sales support team create a quote? What are the exact processes in real life, so not in Salesforce, but in real life, what we have to follow after an opportunity is won? So who should approve a quote? So is there any product manager who has to review a quote if everything is correct? And we have that combination of product, and it makes sense to sell to the customer. Do we have an optimized product catalog? So that's something which is use one, so do once, use often. So we can create a detailed product catalog with the pricing strategies, product configurations, and then we can reuse it in our CPQ platform. And I think that's the last question, what I would like to let you think about and bring with you if you are still considering implementing Salesforce CPQ. What are your real expectations? What do you expect of this implementation? So beyond the fact that this is a fancy functionality nowadays in Salesforce, do you really have an idea what you would like to expect of it? So due to the technical issue what I had at the beginning, I will welcome your questions after this session. Yeah. So thank you very much for attending, and thank you.